support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't Black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record.
Now, I've been critical of you. I have a few things I want to talk to you about today.
I know you have.
Yeah.
You don't know me.
No, I don't. That's why I want to get to know you today. I want to talk to you about mostly Black stuff.
I get overwhelming support from the Black leadership, young and old. Every poll shows me way ahead.
And Black people saved your political life in the primaries this year. And Black people saved your political life in the primaries this year. And Black people saved your political life in the primaries this year. They have things they want from you, and one of them is a Black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you there are multiple Black women being considered. We've seen it more clearly now. In a Black majority county, they're 6 times more likely to die in the pandemic than a white county. They're disproportionately uninsured in the African American community, disproportionately make up essential jobs that they can't do at home. They're risking their lives every day. Enough's enough.
Fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask, what made them do this? They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them, that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You getting information right now? Hot sauce. Hot sauce in my bag, swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen, I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
Okay. Is it working?
We need to take these people on. They are often connected to big drug cartels. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. And the president has asked the FBI to launch a very concerted effort against gangs everywhere.
I have.
Okay. Like in
And
college,
I inhaled. I did inhale. It was a long time ago. But yes.
I know you have to go. They say you have to go.
I just broke news.
I mean, was it in college? See, I like stuff like that. That's a real honest answer. Was it a blunt or joint?
It was a joint.
Hey.
Yeah.
You remember the high? What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was it?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac.
Shout out to Ice Cube. He tried to get us a business plan. The Democrats wouldn't meet with him, but they did meet with Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and Lil Baby. I guess you can understand the reason why they did that. But it's all pandering, folks. You know, in America is businessmen, shrewd businessmen, and businesswomen. Most of these politicians have businesses, right? Corporations of their own. You're not going to get nothing in America unless you can negotiate and come with a set plan and understand your value in the political system. Malcolm X always said we was a swing vote. And if you don't understand that and you keep doing what you're doing, you're only going to get politicians drinking Coke 45s and going to black churches and, you know, doing marches and talking to rappers that's not political or don't have no political savvy whatsoever. You know, hot sauce and doing the wobble or chicken wing or whatever the hell, funky chicken, whatever, man. It's all ridiculous, man. We need real legislation. We need real legislation like defund the police, qualified immunity, pass the CRT bill to stop the erasure of black history. It's a lot of things we need, right? Black women having a higher mortality rate in the hospitals. We need to understand and put a bill to research that. There are a lot of things that we need to get taken care of in America.
It's really a smack in the face to all the black women who would have been more qualified to talk with politicians about the plight of black America or the plight of black women in America. It's a shame.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
Notices still, and I want to know what the Biden administration has done or not come through on as of today.
Well, I think the administration hasn't had the sit-down meeting that they committed to last July program, where we came back and we thought that we would have the meeting to discuss next steps on the $4 billion in debt relief to black and other farmers of color. And I would also like to say, as we celebrate Black History Month, if we were white farmers and it was passed for $4 billion in relief, the administration would have taken care of this already. But these black farmers who are losing their farm, and instead of debt relief that we were promised, the 120% in debt relief, we're now getting farm foreclosure notices, and people say, well, let's go to another lending institution to get it. Well, you can't do that if USDA is reporting black farmers in default, and that's the issue here. So instead of getting debt relief that we was committed to last March, we're now getting farm foreclosure notices and asking them to renegotiate a new deal. There isn't a better deal than 120% for debt relief that we should have already had already. Anything for blacks in this country always seems to take long. What's more, that has been our pattern here in this country.
I want to start here. Black farmers, you were promised, good morning, you were promised this debt relief. You desperately need this help, but you're getting it.
Especially for those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb, the African-American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back, and I'll have yours.
You sit in shit too long, it stops smelling. So come the fuck out of there.
Do me a favor, family. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine you are at a car dealership buying a car, and you allow for the car dealer, you allow for the sleazy car salesman to pick out which car you're going to buy and tell you what price you're going to pay. He picks out the car, he tells you the price, you pay for it, you take it home, and then the next day you decide you ain't want that color, or maybe you decide you ain't want the car at all. You go back to the dealership, you ask, can you negotiate the price of the car? Not only will that car salesman laugh at you, but he might call the police on you. Moral of the story, long story short, don't give your vote away for free. I bet anybody that's listening to this has never went to the dealership, bought the car, and then the next day decided that's when the negotiations will start. That's oxymoron. And that's what they're asking us to do every election term, is to go buy the car and then we'll negotiate with you later on. That's all I'm saying. Let's move on.
The question is, did our ancestors die so we can vote? Did our ancestors die so we can vote? And the answer is yes. They died so we can vote, and they also died because they voted, or because they were registered to vote, or because they was in the action of voting. All right? There were a lot of instances in America where black people were hung, shot, beaten to death with bats because they voted or was registered. That's a fact. How about this? In response to an attempt by African Americans to exercise their legal and democratic right to vote, at least 50 African Americans were murdered in a brutal massacre in Ocoee, Florida on November 2nd, 1920, in what is now called the Ocoee Massacre. So yes, that's a fact, family. They did die for us to vote. But here's the context. In America, black people have died for a lot of different reasons, right? Allegedly. But we know the real core reason of why we have been dying in America. And that's because of the color of our skin, right? That's why we die in America, because the color of our skin. So yes, we died for voting. We died for looking at a white woman. We died for not going to the street when the white man was coming up the sidewalk, right? We died because we was in the wrong part of town at the wrong time, sun up, sundown towns, right? We died for a lot of reasons. So when we say our ancestors died for us to vote, that's true. That's a fact. But they died for a lot of reasons.
And the reason why they were dying is because our European counterparts had guns, the police, U.S. Army, and the government with racist laws to back them up.
You hear a lot of cliches about what our ancestors did, and voting this way and lesser of two evils. Well, one thing that our ancestors did do is, well, for one, they were more unified. They were able to come together in the church or a house and talk about who they were going to vote for, right? Way more unity. We don't have that, which is why, for some reason, we don't look for tangibles. We look for useless symbolism that's not going to really change anything.
I would like to conduct a little experiment with a pizza, right? The pizza experiment. Each slice of this pizza will represent a different demographic in America, right? And it will also represent not only a different demographic, but it will also represent what the Biden administration has done for that said demographic. Right? Now, before we get into the experiment, let me give you 5 reasons why black people deserves a pizza slice or a box of pizza. 1. Black people were forced into labor and slavery after being kidnapped, and they were the first product on Wall Street in 1794. Black people were raped, beaten, lynched, molested, killed, and massacred, all for the color of their skin. Black people fought in every American war. 4. A recent study found out that systemic racism has cost America $16 trillion because of their unwilling to fix and address systemic racism. 5. Black people literally were the heroes in the 2020 election by making a strong push to vote Biden. Specifically, black women voted Biden in. Those are 5 reasons. Actually, I can give 100 reasons why we deserve to be on this piece or have our own box. But for the convenience of time, I'll just do 5. Let's go on to the experiment. Now, our first slice of this experiment is the agents. The agents have received numerous bills this year. The No Asian Hate Bill, and they received a bill in which a bill was passed to protect Asian history, unlike black history that is being currently erased right now as we speak. Second piece of slice would be the police. In Biden's defense, he never said he would defund the police, but he said that there would be a reform part of the George Floyd bill. He said there would be a reform, police reform, right? He's not reforming anything for the police. He's funding the police, giving them $37 billion. After all that, George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, protests and civil unrest, and him meeting George Floyd's daughter, he has not put in place any bills that will prevent a George Floyd from happening again. So that's one slice to the police for absolutely nothing. There was some police reform. They did pass a bill for no knock warrants and no chokeholds, but unfortunately, most of the murders at the hands of the police are not from no knock warrants or chokeholds. But he only banned it on a federal level. Federal agents are not the ones that's harming and killing black people at a large scale. Yes, it's extremely arguable that this administration has contributed more effort, time, energy, and legislation and reforms to eliminating babies, right? Eliminating babies, which is a part of women's rights. You know, if you really cared about women's rights, why do black women die in the hospitals more than white women? Interesting. But long story short, if you was putting more time and effort into revitalizing the black family, then you wouldn't have that many black babies that you feel should be eliminated. Administration spending $60 million weekly to shelter migrants. Biden looks to spend $100 billion on immigration as House explores ways to house migrants. Biden requests $56.7 billion for DHS. Not to mention, bringing over Ukraine immigrants could be problematic for black people, considering Ukraine is one of the most Nazi-infested places in America, right? The plan of the Democratic Party is to replace the black vote with one of these different immigrants, right? Because I guess the Democrats are tired of lying to us and pandering to us every year. They know that we're catching on now. We're waking up. Yeah, I would not pretend like my Native American family don't deserve justice also. But the fact of the matter is, they're still neglecting, oppressing, and abusing black people politically with benign neglect pandering and just blatantly lying. Well, I think that clean energy, to be honest, I think that this should be important for everybody. Black, white people, we all want there to be an earth when our kids get older. We want the earth to still be standing, right? But here's the thing. Just take off one of these other things off the pizza and make sure you add black people on there, right? We have done too much for this country to be left off this pizza, even for things like this. And that's just the fact of the matter, right? Let's go on to the next one, family. And the last one is the LGBT. This administration and this Democratic Party has done more for the alternative lifestyle community than it has for the black family. It has done more for alternative lifestyle kids than it has for just quote unquote black kids. Because if you work on black kids and black people, you know, if you help out black people, you can also help out alternative lifestyle people. But the fact of the matter is, there has been more legislation for this than it has for black people. Your color should come before your political party, religion, or your alternative lifestyle. If I say that I want rights for all black people, well, that will cover all black people, meaning black woman, black man, black LGBT, black libertarian, black Republican, every black demographic, right? For instance, right? Imagine if we bring the pizza metaphor back, bring the pizza experiment back, but we only use the slices as representation of different black demographics. Imagine if I made a pizza, right? And I made each slice of the pizza different from the other. So I put different toppings on each slice, right? Well, that will mean that the pizza slices are all different, right? So what would be the thing that connects the pizza? That will be the middle part. The middle part is the part that connects the pizza, that unifies the pizza, even though the pizza is separate from slice to slice. Now, when you correlate that to black people, even though we all have different religions, different class, different sexual orientation, and different political parties, what connects us? We are all black. Color connects us to each other. Our color will be the middle part of the pizza, right? That's what connects us. You know, because I said it. Each slice of the pizza has different toppings. So that means that each slice is different from each other. But the part that connects the pizza is the middle part. So no matter what you believe in, no matter what your political party is, no matter your sexual orientation, no matter your class, the part that connects all of us is the fact that we are all black. And we should be able to come together as a whole to address critical and vital issues as a whole, as a nation. It's your boy Furious Styles, POW, prisoner of war. Hope you love the video, brought to you by Death Before Bondage. My final thoughts. This is not a Republican versus Democrat video. I'm pretty balanced and fair with my criticism of both parties.
This is Expose the Lies, Tell the Truth video. And I hope that it will be taken as that. What baffles me about the Democratic Party is they pretend like they're not anti-black and you know, they're walking hand in hand with black people and they could do no wrong, but they still have participated in some of the most systemic racist laws that black people have faced, like 94 crime bill, like redlining, like housing segregation, like gentrification. These are all things that liberals had a part in. If you look at every city that's Democratic ran, that's ran by blue, all the blue cities, those are the most highly crime infested cities in America. And I'm just giving you the facts, right? But hope you like the video. I don't want to be long-winded in my final thoughts. I think the video speaks for itself, so I don't have to be long-winded in the final thoughts. Truth sounds like hate to people who hate the truth. Truth sounds like hate to people who hate the truth. We sick, boss. Master sick, now we sick. And the only immunity is unity. Holla at your boy, Furious POW, prisoner of war. We out the box with this one.
Toward the hope of a better day. It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.